Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Championship Leadership Podcast, and we're excited today. We got Kathryn Shubert, Loy, Macy McNeely, all from the Guide Culture, Sales, and Leadership Training Company, and I'm excited. This is my first time. Check this one off the box. Like 3 guests on the same episode, so I'm excited about that, and excited to just hear their story and kind of see, how they've gotten on the path that they are today. So with that, thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Yes,
absolutely. So I do like to ask this question first. So I will, and I'll let you guys just kind of answer it however you see fit. Championship Leadership is the name of the podcast. What comes to mind for you guys? What does that mean to you when you hear championship leadership?
I love the name of this podcast, and I love that question. At Guide Culture, we actually see everything as a game. In fact, we like to think of ourselves as playing the game of life. Mm-hmm. And so really, every day is a Super Bowl, and every day is like a championship.
That's right.
And when you can champion people to believe the same thing, there's really nothing better. We call ourselves champions of entrepreneurs specifically. So that's really what it means to me. What do you guys think?
Yeah. Well, for me, when I'm an old coach, ball coach, and that's really probably where my heart is more than anything, is coaching the kids. Mm-hmm. But when I think of championship, I think of what all it takes to build a championship team.
Yeah.
You have to have a leader with a vision. He has to bring the team in. They have to join in. It's a team effort. Everybody's just as important as each other. He has to drive them, and then when they start winning, they start bonding and seeing all those successes. And they start coming together. Then all of a sudden, it becomes a beautiful thing. So championship makes me think of what all does it take to become a champion.
Yeah,
and that's a leader's job, is to drive his people into that championship circle.
Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%. And I actually, we have kind of a system where we run our day. We call it a game day list. And the game day list really consists of the hard things that nobody really wants to do, but it really moves the needle forward. Mm-hmm. And so when I think of a champion, like the most amazing champions, I think of what they do behind closed doors that nobody sees. The grunt work, the things that really make them great. And they know that one win is not going to guarantee the next win. And so because they win one time, that's the very reason they go in and work even harder and have people follow them, honestly, based on their perseverance. And, true champions, they have a crowd that cheers for them the whole time. And that's their leadership that makes people want to follow them.
Awesome. It's like, 3 different people and 3 very different answers. Well, many similarities, of course, but yeah, I love just hearing the answers, because I've done over probably 150 episodes, and I don't know if I've gotten the same answer twice. So it's just cool to see how many ways people can slice championship leadership. Tell us a little bit more about you guys. I was looking, obviously Macy, Loy is your father. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so we got the family here, and then we got Kathryn was like one of your first clients, and now here she is co-CEO of the company, which is an awesome story as well.
She's adopted. She's in the family.
Yeah, perfect. So yeah, maybe you guys could just fill us in a little bit on, who you are, what is Guide Culture, what are you guys all about, and also kind of, maybe a little bit of the path to have gotten you to where you are today and where you're headed.
It definitely starts with Loy's story.
That's right.
Sure.
Well, my story is I came out of high school with a blue-collar family, and all we knew was kind of blue-collar work, like go to work, get paid, be an employee, just work hard, keep your nose down. And my family ended up being school teachers, and I went to college, played a little baseball, came back, and landed in a middle school coaching job just out of sheer luck, because I didn't deserve it, because I was doing all the things you probably would think a college student would do, and I was not the right person. But I landed in that job, and for a while, I enjoyed it for 3 or 4 years, and all of a sudden, I just wanted more. I wanted more. I didn't know what. I didn't know how. I wasn't the right person. And one thing led to another, and I discovered that I could go get in the business world. And then once I discovered that, I knew I needed better sales, better communication. I needed some training. And then I learned that I also needed some mindset training. I needed to change completely who I was. And I didn't know that, but I started slowly discovering these things. And I was a learner my whole life, but as I would discover these things, I'd say, that's a keeper. And I would discover something else. I'd say, that's a keeper. So through my life, I discovered 2 or 3 things that were like keepers. And so I started this trend. I started doing those things over and over and over. And so here I am 30 years later. And when Macy came around, I started teaching. I started a business, started an insurance agency. And I started teaching all these principles to my staff every year. That's how I built it. I was training the staff up. And the training was sales skills. And then was also the mindset of what do we do? How do we make this work? What do we take on personal responsibility. We accept what we have to do and we go do it. And so every year we'd build it. And then Macy came around and she started her business. She decided she wanted to go into a business world, and she was kind of sputting along. And I said, Macy, let me just at least share this with you. I think it will really help you. And then she finally sat down and started doing it. I shared her my program. I said, just do these things. And the story from there goes to her because she just took off with it.
Yeah, I really bought into it for, I would say, about 6 or 9 months. I really didn't look up from it. I basically went to his office, I learned, and then I went and I tried it, and then I would come back and get feedback. I would say, hey, this is what I said on Instagram. This is a conversation that I had. What was some feedback you could give me? And I'd go and I'd try again. It was a lot of back and forth. And I looked up and like everything had quadrupled. My business had quadrupled, my Instagram, my engagement, my relationships were better. My life was better. I was thinking better. And I just was like, wow, this is actually the missing piece that so many people need. And that's when I went back to him and I said, hey, I want to give this to people. I want to partner with you and make this a thing. And he said, under one condition, that we would have a place where people could practice and get feedback just like you did. Because that was really game changing for me. I said, okay, we'll figure it out. And so it took us a year really to put it together. And then we had our first training went well. And then we had our second one online. And that's where Kathryn joined us on the second training we ever did. And since day one of that training, she was like, this is the missing piece for her too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can probably relate with feeling like your sales are just really sputtering along or whatever, just on a flat tire, it's draining the energy, all this stuff. And not having the right mindset to even get out of that and to really bring people into that magnetic energy that really everyone has. They just don't know how to tap into it. So Guide Culture helped me do that. This was a formed business by this time, obviously, and it just changed my life. And so we've all just honestly evangelized the combination of mindset, being, trusted by your people, having credibility, authority, and having some skills to go along with that is honestly just a huge game changer for anyone in any business. So that's what Guide Culture is. Yeah. And that's who we are.
Yeah. We started doing in-person trainings as well. And Kathryn would come and just teach. She just would be like, hey, I'll come and we asked her to come and help us teach. And over time, she just became invaluable to our students and just to the training in general. And so we asked her to come on board, and it has been match made in heaven, hasn't it, guys?
The fun thing.
It really is. And the fun fact is they have the same birthday, the same anniversary. They say there's so many things that are aligned here. It's just crazy.
It's meant to be.
Yeah.
That's great. Did you know Kathryn prior to her coming to the program?
That's a funny story we have there. We were acquaintances. So we grew up in the same county. We went to different high schools, and we had a mutual friend that was very close to us, but we were never really like friends. You follow each other on Instagram, you follow each other on social media, and then I guess I was talking about on Instagram one day, kind of becoming unrecognizable about, it was Christmas one year. And I said, hey, can you imagine Christmas next year, you being unrecognizable to your friends and family? And I think that just really spoke to her. And she was like, I want to be unrecognizable. And that's when she joined Guide Culture that January. That's when she joined.
Come to find out, the reason that it spoke to me is because 8 months prior, on December 31st of that year, I said, by the end of the following year, I want to be unrecognizable.
Wow.
So then at the end of that following year, Macy says it, and I'm thinking, okay, it was in my subconscious, of course. And
Right.
I just felt pulled to take the training that would, change my life.
Yeah.
I love that. It's such a awesome story. So thank you for sharing that. Are you still in the insurance business?
Yes, I still have a very nice insurance agency, and it's growing. It's doing well. My two son-in-laws, Macy's husband and my other daughter's husband, have joined, and they're really, we're going to perpetuate to them. They're taking off with it. So all that's work, and it's all the same principles. We teach them the same things. We're doing all these same things. We're teaching the people that come through the class. But yeah, it's going well.
Multi-line agency, is that what it is? Or
it's a multi-line independent agency, yes.
I was an independent agent for probably 8 or 9 years. So my business
Wow.
a few years ago to do what I do today, which is to coach and speak and teach leadership. So, but yeah, I'm very familiar with that. So that was interesting. What does GUIDE stand for something? It was capitalized, which makes me think it's an acronym of some sort. Could you expound on that?
Good.
You want me to got it?
Yeah.
So GUIDE is an acronym, and it really stands for the sales and communication process that we teach. It starts with getting attention, unleashing curiosity, increasing the value that you have, dreaming big, helping others dream big, and then expanding lives.
I love it. That's awesome.
Yeah, it really helps. It really helps you create a really magnetic message that's very specific to kind of who you're speaking with. A lot of times we see that business owners and entrepreneurs, they know so much. Like it's a problem that they're so smart and they know so much, and they really want to share everything that they have to show that they have authority and they know what they're talking about, when really they're actually overwhelming people. And so this method helps you really create a specific, customized, magnetic message to be able to help people take action.
Well, it seems like Loy was a bit ahead of his time, because I heard you talk about how you really used it to build up your social media. And of course, we didn't know what the heck social media was
Yes.
in the 80s. And,
well, the material is time tested.
Yeah.
The material is human nature. It's how humans think, it's how humans react, how they communicate with each other. And so many people really don't understand how to close, when to close. Mm-hmm. And it's all tied up into that. But human nature, the history of that has never changed, and it never will change. Maybe we're communicating on social media versus cold calling. Yeah. But it's the same receptiveness from the other individual. So we have to be able to tell just enough and no more to get the message across and things like that.
Yeah, I actually think it's like more valuable for social media than really anything. I mean, it's life skills. Sales skills are life skills. You're really into leadership. And so that really being a leader is getting people to buy in to whatever you have. And what's cool about social media is that you can get in front of basically a crowd of people every single day and really sell every single day. And without people really even feeling like it's sales, you're actually adding value, which is converting people to getting people to take action. So it's game changing to be able to have these tools to show up in a specific way on Instagram.
And another thing that I've learned that I didn't know prior to getting with this guide culture training is that so many people think that sales is a bad thing. They think the word salesy and things like that. But sales, if done right, is one of the best things in the world, because it's really just helping people. It's serving people. And it's a mindset around, well, what really is sales? Am I getting the best of somebody? Am I beating them? Am I winning against them? Or am I helping them succeed? And by doing so, I just maybe get a little reward along the way, a little appreciation along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you talk about building the following on social media. I mean, that's, leaders, you're not a leader if you don't have the ability to build that following. And if you're not creating enough value in the marketplace, then you're not going to get compensated. Right. So
absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I appreciate that. Who are some of the championship leaders that, coaches, mentors that have impacted your life? And really, this question is always less about who they are, but really more about like, what is it about them, the characteristics that have stood out, maybe what you've taken from them to help mold you as who you are as a leader in your life.
The first person that came to my mind, we are believers, so Jesus is a huge part of just how we run business and how we think and how we teach and how we love and encourage people. The second is Dennis Whaley.
Yeah.
Do you know who Dennis Whaley is, Nate?
I do not. No. It sounds like I should, though.
He is an author. Okay, talk about champion leadership.
Yeah.
You should read the book, The Psychology of Winning. We give it to all of our students. How to be a winner. Mm-hmm. This is a book that Loy, Nate, I have a funny story for you. When we were either early married or dating at the time, my husband and then my sister and her husband, my dad had us all over to cook us a steak dinner and to play The Psychology of Winning on the big speakers in the house. And we would all eat in silence and listen to this book because he was so passionate about it.
It's about a 2 or 3 hour audible.
It's a 3-hour audible. Yeah. It's a small book. You can get through it very quickly.
Welcome to the family.
Welcome to the family. That's right. And of course, in the time you're so embarrassed. You're like, this is not what I planned for. But now I totally understand because he really wanted to evangelize a message of really how to be a winner and how to think really well. And so that book, we say everybody needs to read it 7 times. You need to listen to it and you need to read it. But just his principles, it's an old book, but again, it's timeless and it's classic. It is a type of input that makes you think a very special way and makes you stand out.
Yeah. And something now, this may be a little sidekick to that. After doing this training a few years, and all I've seen, the people I've seen come through, we've talked to leaders that maybe think their people need this. And the one thing that we know, at least that I know, is that people who invest in themselves are usually the ones that are leading. Leaders should be reading. They should be taking courses. They should be always self-improving. Most leaders do, I think. But I know people that do the self-improvement end up leading. They end up in a leadership role and an influence role. And the one thing that I would love for this message to get out is that the leaders in our communities should be coming to this course simply because they should be self-improving anyway. And if they think, well, my people need this, but I don't, then they're missing it because this course is going to be stuff that they've heard and know, but it's delivered in a way they've never seen. And I just think they all need to do it so they can go out and tell their team or talk to their team about the principles we're talking about here. So as far as other people, I would think Jesus and Dennis Whaley would be the 2 people that I look to the most. That's probably where I get most of my content. I'm always going back to those things, listening, trying to get the feel of what this is all about. And then we try to turn it into stories of today. Well, how does that relate to what I'm learning in this content? And then put it together in modern, unique ways because it's time-tested material. It all is.
Yeah. The person that came to my mind first, and I don't know if it's just top of mind because I've been listening to him a lot, but John Maxwell.
Love
John Maxwell. One of my favorite things about him in all of his books, he comes back to that original story of how he was a pastor before he really became a speaker and author and things like that. And he just always comes back to how he gets on the same level with the person he's talking to. Whether now he speaks on stages with thousands of people and he says, as often as I can, I get on the ground to speak with them.
Yeah.
And just from day one, he always wanted to serve, be intentional about serving people. And I just love that leadership that he, gives us in his writings and just an amazing leadership trainer.
Yeah, he was one of my first, probably, as I got into after college and started to read and invest in myself, personal development. He was probably the first one, one of the very first I came across, and I couldn't get enough of his content. So I agree with that. I'm definitely going to check out The Psychology of Winning as well.
Yes,
so good.
Absolutely. So
you'll have to let us know what you think.
I will. Absolutely. One of you guys talked about the importance of vision, especially with the championship leader and having the courage to take action on that. Like, what's the vision for you guys on the impact that you want to make with guide culture?
So much. We want to take over the world, actually. I'm just kidding. I think we all have generally a similar vision, but I also think all of us kind of like in our hearts have specific visions too for guide culture. Yeah. I mean, one thing that I feel like we keep saying a lot is every organization in America is trained in guide culture. And when I say organization, I mean every church, every nonprofit, every family. Family is an organization, every business. There is no doubt in my mind that this material and that guide culture changes legacies. It's the way you talk to your kids. It's the way you talk to your staff. It's the way that you lead and encourage people. It's the way that you sell. It changes the trajectory of people's lives. And as many hands that we can get this in, I mean, that is the most important thing for me for guide culture.
Awesome.
Yes, I agree. That's a beautiful thing. And the thing is, not only does Macy feel that way, we have a staff of 5, and then we have some head coaches of 8 or 9 coaches.
Yeah.
And then we have some assistant coaches. We've got a team of people that help, because one thing is to learn the material. The other thing is to be able to implement what you learn. So we have coaches to help. But the point I'm trying to make here is everyone in this organization is bought into this, just like Macy. We all are so passionate about what this is and what it can do. And we just would love for people to come get a taste of it because it is that valuable.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's definitely evident from the first second that we hopped on that is truth. And that's a testament to the reason that I believe you will fulfill on that vision. So I love that. That's awesome. This question I like to ask always, this is like the one question that I try to ask every time. What is a critical moment for you guys? Maybe collectively, maybe just individually. We all have them. We all have these fork in the road moments where you did make the decision that you did because it has you where you are today. But had you not, you could be someplace very different. Life could look very different. I think there's a lot of listeners, entrepreneurs, business owners, they're in that moment right now. I just was in that moment just this past week. I made a big decision in my life, in my career, and stepped out on my own and away from a business partnership of about 4 years. And it was difficult. It was hard. And a lot of things try to pull you the way that you don't necessarily want to go. And, I don't want to live looking back with regret. So is there a moment for any of you that comes to mind that you could share that would help listeners that might be in that moment right now?
Fork in the road moment. I'll tell mine really quick because it was actually the moment right before I took the training. I had been in a business for a couple of years. I just wasn't doing well. I was, hitting the minimum standard. It was fine. No one looked at me and thought I was doing anything wrong, but I knew that I was not fulfilling what I was supposed to be doing in that business. And I wasn't sure why, because I knew that I was a perfectly capable person, did great in school, star student material. Why wasn't my business making A's? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it didn't feel good. So I actually got to this moment where my confidence was so low in myself as a business person that I was like, well, either I'm going to just quit I had just had a baby. So I thought, unfortunately the thought was, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. I guess that's what I'm supposed to be doing since the business isn't great, or I can invest in myself. And investing for the first time is really scary, especially, when it's maybe way more than you've ever invested. I'm sure people can understand that. And so that was the fork in a road moment for me, where I thought I'm actually going to double down on what I really can see myself being and just run after it.
Yeah, it's huge because I think of a lot of, especially in your situation, a lot of mothers, they do that, not right or wrong, right? It wouldn't have been the wrong decision
of course
to choose that, but it's a big moment, and you're glad that you made that decision. So thank you.
I keep thinking in phases. I think before entrepreneurship, I think during the business, and Nate, you sold your insurance agency. So I'm sure that was a big moment for you. And then you just had this other big moment. So there's a couple that I'm thinking about. The first one that I'm thinking about is, oh my gosh, I could get emotional just because it's just people telling me that they believe in me. That they see specific moments of people just seeing certain things in me that I could never see in myself. And then me being like, oh wait, maybe I do have what it takes. Maybe and that's a huge part of guide culture, is really teaching people how to put belief in others, because that is one of the best things you can do, is just to tell someone who they are, what they're capable of, and that you see it in them. The moment I'm thinking about specifically is me I really wanted to quit my job that I had just gotten out of college, and I had my side hustle. I just wanted to go and be somebody so bad. And I asked my dad, I said, Dad, do you think that I can do this? Do you think that I could quit my job? And do you think that I can make it? And he just said, well, do you think you can do it? And I said, I know I can do it. And he said, well, then I know that you can do it because you know that you can do it. And so that was a moment for me of like, man, if I believe it, like I can do anything that I want. And then the second moment, honestly, is the day that Kathryn came on to Guide Culture. So the more I learn about leadership, the more I learn that when you have lots of brains, the ability to really go and do more and to help more people and to be more creative is just tenfold. And like, I want 100 personalities, Guide Culture personalities that are able to just like add so much value to other people. And, gosh, if you are alone in business, I just would encourage you to do whatever you can to get people in your circle to help you and encourage you, because it's been life-changing having Kat on the team.
So sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, mine would be a couple. One is my gut. Many times I listen to my gut first and then try to get some logic in there to go with it. And I've always luckily been a learner, but my wife dragged me into church. And when that youth pastor speaking in Sunday school said, if you want some of what I got, start reading the Bible, praying and doing Christmas fellowship. And I went back and started reading the Bible. That was my first experience of input, bringing in new things into my life. And then it wasn't much longer after that, this guy handed me the Psychology Winning set of tapes. Is a set of tapes from Dennis Whaley's Psychology Winning. And I started listening to that. So the point is, certain amounts of input that starts changing who you are from the inside out, and having the willingness to be a learner, to accept that and do it, and then follow along. Those were changes for me, because both those things started changing me from the inside out. And all the rest of it just flows through gut and through discernment. Is this the right thing? But it all starts with changing who you are.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you. I appreciate you guys all sharing those personal stories. I think it really does help. So thank you. I do want to respect your time. So I know we're coming up on here, our 30 minutes here. So let's wrap this up. What would be one or two things you could share with us, maybe one each or something like that, that if the listeners were to implement today, they would move their life forward today?
Well, I really would like just to encourage the listeners. And, I know what it's like to be working on something and working on a part of your business and just feeling like you don't know what you're doing. To be feeling like, oh my gosh, I have so much to learn. I'm so overwhelmed. How am I going to do this? And a lot of times people feel that way about sales. A lot of times people are like, literally all I need to do is just to show my face on Instagram, and then people will ghost me, or they don't answer, or they act like they're interested and then they never buy, and I'm so confused. I would just love to scream from the rooftops that there's absolutely a way to make sales like second nature, that you know exactly what to do, when to do it, how to say things, why you say things, and really how to guide people into a buying decision. It's really not about selling. It's about helping people buy. And if that is something that if you are listening to this and you're struggling with the idea of selling really well, whether you are making 5 sales or you're making 500 sales and you need to be able to make more and more, there's absolutely a way to make it incredibly easy and actually very fun. And that's a huge part of what you learn in Guide Culture. I just want to encourage you. It doesn't have to be super hard or scary.
Yeah, thank you.
And sales, and we consider sales an idea. You can be selling an idea, a product or a service, or any kind of an influence. It's all sales. We believe that life is a transactional sales, no matter what you're doing, because parents are trying to influence their kids, bosses are trying to influence their teams. So when you say sell, many times it is exchanging money, but you're always selling your ideas, or hopefully you have an idea that's worth selling.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
In light of us and bringing it full circle about vision, which Loy brought up in the beginning and he brought up again, is if someone today could write a letter to themselves dated 1 year from today and write it in the present tense as if it's everything that they really want to achieve in the next, revolving around the sun next year as if it's already happened. We're really learning about the power of seeing your future for yourself and being bold enough to write it down, record yourself reading it in a voice memo to yourself. And it actually takes a ton of courage and creativity and boldness to do that. So if you could do that today, I would not be surprised if you told us in a year how many of those things actually came to fruition because of the way that your brain and your heart and your movements just line up things for you that you never would have seen before. So I just really believe in the power of, pacing your life forward.
So good.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, absolutely. And I would encourage the listeners to take that and do it, like challenge you to do that. That's a great idea. I love it. Yeah. So, and then I would love to hear a year from now, how those things came true as well. So, thank you so much, you guys. What are some ways that we can follow you and find out more information about guide culture?
Yeah, you can follow us on Instagram at The Guide Culture. And I would love to offer your listeners a free resource. We have a 26-page playbook that can help you get more sales, better clients, and faster results. It's the whole method laid out really well. And there's even a bonus on how to handle doubts, our 4-step process to handling doubts. It's going to really, really help so many people, give you some quick wins to know exactly what to do. So yeah, you can follow us at The Guide Culture on Instagram. And that's where we spend a lot of time. And we love talking to people on Instagram, so feel free to message us and we will chat there.
How do we get the playbook? Is there a way to?
So we can send it to you, Nate, and you can put it in your show notes, and it's also linked in our Instagram bio.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah,
that's so awesome.
Thanks,
Nate.
Nate.
Thank you. No, I really appreciate it. I appreciate your time, and I look forward to staying connected and continuing to watch you guys grow and impact. So,
Nice meeting you.
Thanks so much.
Nate.